It's time
to revise and edit! Woo!
All right, people, so here's the thing. You're wondering, like, where are we right now? We've spent like an hour going to every room in our house, every corner of every room in our house to try to make our internet work, because I don't know if it's because every child and parent in America is on the internet right now or what, but we even tried filming on our stairs. I mean, we've tried everything. We're about to give up and go on a hike, and all of a sudden we found this spot in his sister Madison's room. So that's not Hadley's pink curtain, although it'd be awesome if it was. But this is Madison's room. So we're gonna revise and edit. Okay, yeah. So you should be able to see my screen if I did this correctly right now, and you should be able to see Hadley's essay. So today we're gonna revise actually in this segment, and then we're gonna do a separate segment to edit. You might think, well, why don't you just do them both at the same time? Here's why. Kids these days, Hadley, they think editing and revising is the same thing. Is it? No. Did you hear the question at the end of his voice? Oh, no, they're not the same thing at all. So you've got to revise before you edit. They're not the same thing. And I encourage teachers when they teach it to do it on 2 separate days, multiple times, because then kids will get in the habit of realizing that it's not the same thing. Okay. All right. Oh, Hadley, you're going to have to go close that door because your sisters are going to come in. One moment, please. So while Hadley is closing the doors to keep out everyone under the age of 10 from coming into our meeting that we're having right now, let me talk to you about revising. So let's see if you can see this. I am a huge fan of checklists, okay? Checklists for everything from chores to revising. So these are the things we're going to look for today. So teachers, you can create, of course, any revising checklist you want.
You're replacing me?
The board is now my friend. Board, Hadley. Board, Hadley. Okay. So I'm choosing the board for a moment. Okay. So there are 4 things we're going to look for. Number 1, do you have every part of your essay? Meaning, do you have hit, hook, important background information, and thesis statement? Do you have TEEEC times 3, right? Or T times 3, means 3 paragraphs right there. And do you have the S&S for the conclusion, the synthesize and strategize? Then you're going to say, does it make sense? As we're reading, if any sentence seems the least bit unclear, you don't keep going. You stop, and you fix it, okay? Is it organized? Transition words, people, okay? Do we have the transition words in there? Are they obvious? Does it flow through our paper? Number 4, do you have sentence variety? This is huge, especially as you move up in the grades when you're in 6th, 7th, 8th grade. Are you using complex sentences, compound sentences, complex compound sentences? You've got to have it all. Okay, so you go through, we each have a tendency to write in a certain cadence, a certain way. And so a lot of times our sentences sound the same. So this is a great time to go back and say, oh goodness, I don't have any complex sentences in this paragraph. Let me rearrange this so I can show sentence variety. So that's what we're going to do today. If we see a misspelled word, a comma that's misplaced, anything like that, that's not our job to correct it today. All right, Hadley, you're back. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen. We're going to go through and we're going to check for all of our parts. Do you have pizza, chicken fingers, and boxed potatoes for your school lunch? Check. The author of the first article argues that despite the new guidelines, the food is still the same. The author of the second article argues that the food has changed as a result of the new guidelines. Important background information? Check. However, the new guidelines do not help students because they are still getting the same portion sizes and foods. These are statements? Check. In the first article, it explains the author's point of view. Topic sentence?
Yes.
Check. The author describes another problem with the new guidelines is the portion size. This shows that larger kids are getting the same amount of food as smaller, less active people. For example, the text... What is that?
Evidence.
For example, the text says, and what's for example? Transition word. The text says a 220-pound high school football player doing a 2-a-day practices. So that's an editing thing, but I'm going to go ahead and take it out. I lied and said we weren't going to do that. But a 220-pound high school football player doing 2-a-day practices is getting the same amount of food as smaller children or children who are not as active. This shows the author is frustrated because her children come home and search for junk because they are still hungry. What's a way we can make that clearer right here? Instead of saying they search for junk. Okay, or junk food, right? Junk food, yeah. You could say junk food or bad food. So junk food because they are still hungry. This is not fair. Additionally, the author states the next problem by writing, children are still eating chicken nuggets, fish sticks, and pizza every month. This shows that they still have non-healthy foods despite the new guidelines.
That was a transition word, evidence, and explanation.
Good. The author is tired of the same non-healthy foods because she says, sadly, it seems that the new guidelines have not made much of a difference. As a result, the author pleads with the schools to make more changes.
Evidence and explanation.
However, the author from Article 2 disagrees. That author says that they are getting more healthy foods at schools. The author of Article 2 also says no more processed chicken fingers, pizza, and sugary chocolate milk. So this is a little bit confusing. I know it says that in the book. It said, or in the article, it's stated just like that. But no more chicken fingers, pizza, and sugary milk where? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we could say the author of Article 2 also says that there are, how about this? Says,
Direct quote.
yeah, but watch this. You can do this. Hadley says, but it's a direct quote. But watch how you can do this. The author of the Article 2 also says that there are, and then you take out the capitalization, no more processed chicken fingers, pizza, and sugary chocolate milk at school. Okay? You ever seen that done before?
No.
Teaching something new. So you're quoting the part of the article that you're using that is directly verbatim, you're putting in quotes, but you're adding in your own paraphrase words around it. This shows that the author thinks these foods are gone. On the other hand, the author from Article 1 thinks differently. The first author thinks that the guidelines are not working and the students still aren't getting healthy foods. For example, the author of Article 1 says, I know that many schools are struggling to meet these guidelines, but they have to do better than this. The fact that the first author is still seeing these foods shows the second author is incorrect. Okay, all in all, just into conclusion,
Yep.
Our schools need healthier foods and different portion sizes for our students. Well, that's your, so that's a good point. He said topic sentence. Well, in a conclusion, you don't really have a topic sentence. You have a what? Strategize and synthesize section. Yeah. So here we're synthesizing, we're pulling it all together. Now, all in all, our schools need healthier foods and different portion sizes for our students. Otherwise, the guidelines do not help. Okay, so that's kind of the whole gist of the whole paper, the so what. Does your school have these unhealthy foods? If they do, please contact your school and make this right. Do it for the unhealthy kids who need healthy foods.
Woo!
Okay. Good job, Hadley. So Hadley didn't have, actually, he did a great job. He didn't have a ton of revising and editing because he had all the parts. I'll do a future session where I purposely create something that is missing a certain element of TEEEC or a certain element of HIT, and something that has some more purposefully placed confusing parts. So we'll have to fix it.
I'm so good.
This is too good. Can't learn that much from this essay. But what we can do is go through and make sure he has some different sentence varieties. So we have a question in the first paragraph. The author of the first article argues that despite the new guidelines, the food is still the same. So there you have a complex sentence, right? Because you have a dependent clause and then you have an independent clause. So let's see if we have other sentences besides that kind. The author of the second article argues that the food has changed as a result of the guidelines. Okay, there you just have a simple sentence. However, the new guidelines do not help students because they are still getting the same portion sizes. So it looks like Hadley is using quite a variety of sentence types, whether he was aware of it or not. I'm not sure, but he is. So I would encourage him to just go through and make sure that he does have, I'm trying to search and see if he has a compound sentence anywhere. You can be looking through it right now too on your screen and see if you can find one. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then let me know and I'll do a separate lesson on what is a compound, complex, and compound complex sentence.
Yeah.
I'm not finding a compound one yet, Hadley.
Is that bad?
To show even more variety, you could add one. So a compound sentence would be one where where you have two independent clauses joined by and, but, or, for, nor, one of those things. So I went to the store and I got milk. It has to have a subject and a verb on both sides. So
sure I use that.
Let's see. Oh, I found one. Well, it's a quote from the article though. I know that many schools are struggling to meet these guidelines, but they have to do a better than this. So I know that many schools are struggling to meet the guidelines, independent clause, but they have to do better than this. Okay.
Well, but wouldn't that be a dependent? But they have to do better than this.
So
It's
you
not a
always
sentence
take
by itself.
you always take out the but and but or when you're testing it to
They
see if
have
it's a
to do
sentence.
better than this.
Exactly.
Oh, that is that? Yeah. I guess
So you
that
take
is.
out the but and you say they have to do better than this.
Okay.
So great question. Okay. All right. So just to go back over, so you can check your own paper. Okay, the 4 things you're checking for right here. I'm not gonna read them to you, but you can freeze your screen if you want to do it. That was super easy and super fast. So we're gonna talk about editing really quickly. Erase this, Hadley.
Woo!
Editing. Your teacher's gonna change what you're looking for is based on your level, okay? Someone who's at the 5th, 6th grade level, Hadley's in a 6th grade ELA class, he would definitely have a different kind of thing he's looking for than someone who's in 4th grade or someone who's in 8th grade when it comes to editing. Of course, you're checking for spelling. Of course, you're checking for the little things, making sure that you have end marks and capitalization and things of that nature. However, after that, it really depends upon what grade you're in. So for Hadley's level, I would make sure that he has correct comma placement because it's a really big deal right now to make sure you're putting commas after dependent clauses. If it's a dependent independent sentence, I would make sure that he is of course, spelling everything correctly, having subject-verb agreement, right? I looked at a paper this morning where someone used was and were incorrectly. Okay, thank you, Hadley. So you just got to think about, and teachers, if you're working on certain grammar things, then I would put those down. So right here, editing, checklist. We're going to say number 1, spelling. We always are checking for that. Of course, with computers, that's easy. And we're always checking for end marks and capitalization. I'm going to put that together because that's an easy one. We're going to always check on comma placement. Hadley, stop. The kid turns everything into a ball, people. Okay, and we're going to do, what did I say? Subject verb agreement. Okay, that means you have to say we were, not we was. Okay, all right. So this is going to be our editing checklist. So check your paper right now for your spelling, for your end marks and capitalization, and for your comma placement, okay? I'm not going to go through Hadley's paper again. You can look through it and see. If you find an error and you send it to me, that would be awesome.
Great.
We would
Awesome.
appreciate
Amazing.
it, okay? We know this was a short session. There wasn't a whole lot to be done with Hadley's paper because he was too good. So we'll do another one, but that's the process, right? You go back through your paper once for revising. You go back your paper again for editing because you don't want to get those 2 things confused, and then you turn it in and you do awesome. So let me know if you use this process and you wrote a paper and you did well or you didn't. Let me know what the outcome is. Let me know what you need more help with. This is the Ghetto Lady and my special assistant Hadley. We'll talk to you later.
We out.
Bye.